This episode was recorded at the Coaches Congress in Berlin. That's why there are so many people in the background. And I had the honor to interview Daniel Chaffey, who is the international director of CrossFit and also the founder of CrossFit Louvre. We talk about what makes a good team and how to be a good or a great leader. And I hope you enjoy this episode with Daniel Chaffey. What makes a great leader?
I'll just quote Greg, just give a shit, care, I think you got to be turned towards other people. You got to understand their point of view. You got to understand what it is they need, what it is that they want to achieve, and you got to give a shit.
Welcome to the Best Hour of Your Day podcast. This is your host, Felix. And in this podcast, I am interviewing CrossFitters and experts from around the world. Okay, looking good so far. It says record. It's blinking red, so I suppose it's recording.
Blinking red.
Means good.
Sounds like a drunk woman. Red eyes and blinking. No, I'm kidding. Right, what's going on?
I'm good. How are you? I just listened to your speech.
You were the one that wasn't sleeping. Fantastic.
No, I didn't sleep.
You were the dude awake. Okay,
I was awake. I was like 100% focused.
Cool.
So, there's probably a lot to talk to you about, but we have to narrow it down a little bit for this episode.
Okay.
Because otherwise I think it's going to be like a Joe Rogan 3-hour talk.
Jeez.
But we have to
We'll start rolling joints and smoking weed.
That would be kind of cool, right?
Obviously I don't, but it's just because I saw it on Joe Rogan. That's obviously.
It's okay. You don't. It's off camera. You talked about building a strong team, building a team you can trust, a team where you can step away without being afraid that the business crashes. And I think building a strong team is a very, very important point, especially when it comes to a CrossFit box, which is usually started as a hobby and you're I used to be a solo entrepreneur.
Yep.
And what a lot of people forget is that you don't build a team and you don't grow. The business is probably not be able to survive. We see a lot of businesses out there, not only CrossFit boxes, but a lot of small businesses who are really struggling. And I think, in my perspective, it's, oftentimes because there are no leaders who build teams around them who can support the business. And I think that's a good point to talk about today.
Yeah, I think it's a key point. You can only take your gym or whatever business so far on your own. You'll always be limited. So the ability, the talent, or the skill set to attract people, to interview them, to recruit good people, to onboard good people, and then to coach and develop people through time. That ability of developing people, we could just call it developing teams, is possibly the most important skill set you can develop and you can learn. The sooner you start to learn about that stuff, so I was learning about it when I was literally just PTing, right? You learn organizational behavior, human psychology, so goal setting, Maslow's, all that kind of stuff. You learn all the strategies around recruitment, etc. The sooner you get involved in that learning process, the sooner you'll be able to start growing your team. Right? And you don't need to think of, if I'm going to be successful, I need to have a team of 10. No. If you're on your own, start small. Start with a part-timer. Start with one person. Get that right. When you got that right, go to 2 people. And your business will grow organically as you grow your team. And your team will grow organically as you grow your business. If your business is successful, you can afford to grow your team. If you grow your team, your business will be successful. It's like this virtuous circle, And so you're there going, but I don't have the money to hire people. Well, then make yourself more successful. Grow your business and then grow your team. You may need just an extra 5 members, to be able to afford to have a part-timer or whatever it is, or have an intern. Just start small is my recommendation on that. But it is without doubt the most important skill set. Yeah.
You obviously grew one of the biggest CrossFit boxes in the world. I don't know the exact numbers, but I don't know that many CrossFit boxes which have such an impact in the CrossFit scene. And it always sounds easy from the outside, right? You build a big team, but it also took you years, and you started very small, as you just said. When you go back in time and when you look back, are there any tips which you would give to yourself and maybe to like a future gym owner who's aspiring to grow a bigger box or a bigger team that he or she can implement in order to be successful?
Oh God, yeah. First off, you're right. So today, when we look at the 3 boxes that we run at the Louvre, you got over 3,000 members over 3 boxes, right? You got 1,401, and then you got 900 in the 2 others. So it's like, I don't know, 3,200 members, something like that. And then you got the teens and the kids. We started with no members, and then we had 1, and you serve 1, and then you have 5, and you serve 5. You know, and we started as a team, just me and my wife at the time. You know, and now we've got 48 people in the team. So how do you grow? You grow literally 1 person at a time. You grow 1 trial session at a time, 1 workout at a time. That's how you grow. You never take your eye off what you're doing on the day. Do what you're doing 100%. Do it the best possible way, and you'll start growing. It's kind of like what Greg used to say, you know, focus on excellence and then the success will come. But if you take your eyes off what's happening today, you know, focusing on 6 months or 2 years' time, you won't get to 6 months or 2 years' time. So you've got to balance those 2 things. You know, how do you get to 50 members? Well, if you're at 15 now, you go to 16. You won't go to 50, and then you go to 17, and then you go to 18. Just focus on the next one. Focus on the next conversation. Focus on the next prospect walking through the door, the next trial session, the next drop-in, and so on and so forth. That would be my main recommendation. And then, I mean, like, shit, my biggest regrets... Losing a couple of good people through perhaps some lack of communication, maybe through some ego, that kind of stuff, and keeping the wrong people too long through emotional links and friendship. You know, we work in an industry where you're just naturally close to people. You know, your work colleagues become your friends become your work colleagues, your members become your work colleagues, and then become your friends, and so on and so forth, right? And for good and bad. The good is that when it's working well, man, you know, you're working, you're like on a mission with friends. It's fucking amazing. You wake up, you know, you're going to work with people you like. But then when they start to use that friendship as a means not to do the right job or to do it well, then they're abusing that relationship, and it's no longer a win-win relationship. And so not to be afraid to cut, not to be afraid to trade, you know. And I'm not saying, you know, be ruthless, you know, or relentless with people. I think know where you want to go, and if that person isn't fulfilling expectations, give feedback, you know, redirect, try and correct it. They still don't do it. Have another conversation, redirect, be patient. But when it becomes pretty clear that, oh man, you know, this is a limitation, it's a handbrake, don't be afraid to trade. That'd be my recommendation.
What do you think? Why so many gym owners struggle with this? Is it because of this personal bonds with the members or the trainers, or what do you think is the main reason?
Yeah, absolutely. That adds to it. But also, human nature is most people want to avoid conflict. That's why leadership isn't for everybody. You know, if you can't have tough conversations, then perhaps leadership isn't for you. You'll end up, you know, you'll give an inch and they'll take a mile. You know, you'll be eaten by people. You know, you'll have people using your box or your gym for their own personal gain, but the box or the group, you know, the team is not winning. You know, basically a business is just a group of people delivering something to other groups of people, right? And that group of people really should come together to follow a mission, to fulfill a mission, and they should bring their individual talents to help fulfill that mission. The moment you have people coming to the mission, coming to the group to take from it, just take, not contribute, you need to be ruthless. You need to cut that out. Even if they're friends, even if you've known them for 20 years, even if they were there when your child was born, you know. I had 2012, I had cancer, man. And there was a guy working with me. He was one of only 2 people that knew I had it, you know. And I was operated, and you know, it wasn't a good time. He was one or 2 people. And 6 years later, he's still working for me, but he knew that in my heart, I have a debt of gratitude to him for the support he gave me through that time. And 6 years later, he was doing some really bad stuff in my business, you know. And I knew he was doing it. And I didn't have the heart, you know. He was using our relationship to profit himself, and it affected the team, it affected the business. And it took me a long time to have really tough conversations with him and confront the bad behavior that was affecting the team and the business. That I should have addressed earlier. I actually lost more good people because I didn't address it. And I still had to remove him in the end. If I'd done it sooner, if I'd done it maybe 2-3 years earlier, I wouldn't have lost those good people. So address bad behavior. Don't be afraid. You're not picking fights for picking fights. You know, you're being true to your mission. You know, you need to protect the team and your mission, and you need to protect what you want to achieve through your gym, more than protecting the friendship with one person. You know, and yeah. So don't be afraid to cut. You know, when you end up cutting someone who's been misbehaving for a while, you always say the same thing. It's like, fuck, I should have done that sooner. I see you're afraid of getting kicked in the face by these guys doing handstands behind you.
Just a little
bit. You're safe. If I see him like handstanding backwards towards your head, I'll turn away and not see. No, I'm kidding.
Please save me. Okay?
I'll save you. Don't worry. I'm going to just put my coffee down.
It's a little bit dangerous here on the training area, but in the end, I think it looks kind of cool, right? So much going on here.
Oh, listen, this is my third coaches congress, and man, every single iteration it's getting better. You know, they're obviously like listening to feedback. It's good. This is having fun here, man. You know, there's a lot going on. Good partners. The talks, in particular, mine was outstanding. No, I'm kidding.
And you just presented on time. It was perfect.
Mate, I just I under promise and over deliver. You know, I promise you 60 minutes, I'll give you 67 every time. You know,
I guarantee.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? How important is personal growth?
Oh, you know, we were talking about as a business owner that your R&D, your research and development, is what you give to your team, right? And how you train your team. That's research and development. But it doesn't matter if you're a leader or if you're in a team. You're at an entry level job. It's your responsibility to develop yourself. You know, you hope to be in an environment where someone else will develop yourself, or will develop you. Sorry. And if you have that, that's great. If you don't have it, how are you going to grow? Unless you're proactively developing yourself, you will be the same. It's like if I hadn't invested in my personal development like 20 odd years ago, I would still be the same clueless idiot, making all those friggin' mistakes. You know, I think it's fundamental. You know, I met an amazing guy. And a lot of amazing guys. You know, there's a guy called Terry Q. He was a South African. A guy called Dan O'Day was Australian. There's a Canadian called Rich Hudson. All these people were telling me about personal development, and that I had to read more, I had to study and stuff. And then one of them, in our goal setting, he said, "Okay, how much are you putting aside every single month to pay for content?" So at the time it was books or DVDs. That's how old I am, right? Or CDs, you know. They didn't used to be podcasts. They didn't used to be easy stuff to stream, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And so I had to proactively travel. I had to go to the States. I had to go to Idea Convention, URSA, that kind of stuff. It would cost a lot of money to develop yourself. Today, the information, the knowledge is so much more readily available. I used to put 10% of my income aside every single month in order to be able to invest. And I would have lists of trainings or people that I want to go and see and all this kind of stuff. And so I used to have to pick and choose. Today, honestly, you've got things like Coaches Congress going on, you've got gatherings, you've got, you've always got workshops all over the place. And it's like, geez, And then it's like, oh yeah, but I can't afford it. Really? Those are really nice fucking Nike trainers you got on your foot, man. You'd rather pay $160 for that shit as opposed to, it's like, it's not you can't afford it. It's that you haven't made it a priority. I would recommend that personal development be a priority. If you want to be in a better space in 5 years' time, That's your responsibility. And if you don't take that opportunity, then okay, fine, be a victim. Be a victim and then complain in 5 years' time. But don't come and complain to me. Take control for where you're going to be in 5 years' time now. Don't wait 5 years and then whinge about it. Invest in yourself. Yeah. Is that a good enough answer?
It's good. I take it.
Jeez, you're getting me started. These are topics where you just get it. Yeah.
It's great.
Sorry.
It's great. I mean, we have to schedule a follow-up after this one here. So what about mental development, mental health?
Well, man, a balance, right? I'd say probably the best way to help yourself is controlling your thoughts, right? If you can control your thoughts, if you can be aware of the bad but not let it dominate you, you'll have a better control on your emotions, right? If you have better control on your emotions, you're having a better control on your actions. Your actions become your habits. Your habits become your success or your failure, right? So if you have good habits, success, bad habits, failure. Everything starts with how you think. And so how you're feeding yourself. We're in CrossFit, so people are talking about, eat meats, and that kind of stuff. That's great. Fitness in 100 words. But the same for your mental health. What are you feeding yourself? Who do you surround yourself with? Who are the vampires who are the people that are literally just focusing on the bad and making you focus on the bad? Yeah. Surround yourself well. Control your thoughts. Feed yourself. I think also there's a lot to be said about the link between physical health and mental health. Like a lot of people, you can suffer from depression and whatever you perceive depression to be, but we know today that if you're sleeping well, if you're training, if you're well, you're eating well, you're surrounding yourself with good people, you're getting out in nature, you'll be looking after your mental health in an easier way. You'll be softer on yourself. And the other thing is, we're very hard on ourselves, right? Controlling your thoughts. If you catch yourself telling yourself something bad, man, it's like, would I say that to someone else? Nah. Then I shouldn't be saying it to myself. Mental health is super important. November was, Male Mental Health Month. Not really spoken about too much. I see you got a bit of a Movember going on there.
I have it all the year.
Oh yeah. It's like it's Dovember, it's Jovember. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
It's a thing
every single month, right? Mental health is an issue. COVID added to it. Our modern lifestyle adds to it. Being sedentary, indoors, seated, isolated, is a big issue. I actually think that gyms, we don't talk about it enough, but the environment in gyms, the environment in group training, like this environment right behind us here, right? This is a big alleviator of a sensation of isolation and loneliness. And that's a big part of mental health and mental illness, is feeling isolated and not being able to relate to other people, feeling alone in the world and blocked off. So if we can bring more people in and that's why I'm a big believer in group classes. I way prefer group classes to PT because of the social element to it. Socializing is really important.
Switch topics a little bit. What makes a great leader?
Oh, everyone said this. I'll just quote Greg. Just give a shit. Care. I think you've got to be turned towards other people. You've got to care about. You've got to have that empathy. You've got to understand their point of view. You've got to understand what it is they need, what it is that they want to achieve. And you've got to give a shit, right? So there's a lot of internal work that has to be done, which is why you'll very rarely find very good young leaders, because they haven't had the life experiences yet to help them grow themselves. Leadership is, I think it's two-dimensional. First of all, it's internal. There's an internal journey to do and to achieve, and you have to go through certain experiences and iterations. You have to, I believe, experience leadership, good leadership and bad leadership. See what it is naturally you'd like to reproduce and what you'd like to avoid reproducing. So I think it takes a bit of time. Need to be turned towards people and care about other people. And to do that, you must have ticked off a lot of your own needs first, right? You can't be worried about, am I filling the fridge? Or, you can't be worried about, your own workout or your own problems, and be a very effective leader. You need to be turned towards other people. So, yeah, that takes a bit of time, right? You have to go on a bit of a lifetime journey. So, yeah, I think time, experience, and I think leadership's not for everybody. You can be great in your job. You can be successful and happy without becoming a leader. It's not a calling that everyone should accept. Without a doubt. Some people are better off in administrative jobs, project managing and that kind of stuff. And when you take someone who's got a personality where they don't have much empathy and you put them into a leadership role, they're not going to be successful. And so you're actually doing them a disservice. If you put them into the right role, and they'll be a really great project manager, and they're great on timelines, and they're great with Excels and drawing in different departments and all this kind of stuff. But they're not very good with people. You're better off putting them into that sort of role, that administrative project management role, without necessarily leading people and having influence over people. And they will be successful. You do them a favor by putting them into the right type of profile. So leadership's not for everybody, and by you may find a really good coach. I want to make you head coach, but they just want to coach. They don't want to be giving feedback to other coaches. They don't care about another coach. You will make them an unsuccessful head coach. You're literally going to turn a really great coach into a shit head coach. So you have to, I think, promote and give opportunities to people that care about other people.
How important is feedback for you and your community and your culture and your gyms?
That's a really good question. That's because you were watching the presentation, right? We're talking about the environment you develop, and feedback is, the expression, the old expression, I can't remember who wrote it, but someone way smarter than me, is feedback is the breakfast of champions, right? We know that, right? Without feedback, it's hard to ask ourselves the right questions. Feedback is fundamental, praise, redirection or reprimand, whatever it is. That's how you get that 1% better, It doesn't matter if you're a member of a team, if you're an athlete, if you're not getting feedback. It's like all these people following programming, I'm doing the secret squirrel programming. Yeah, I do this, it's really great. And I was going, okay, how are you going to get better? The coach isn't giving you feedback, right? It's like you'll get better by going into class and having someone fucking give you feedback on, that knee that's coming in on the squat, or, feedback is fundamental in any aspect of life. So our whole environment in our boxes is designed for everybody to receive feedback. The intern receives feedback from the head coach. The junior coach receives feedback from the head coach or future leader. The future leader receives feedback from the head coach. The head coach receives feedback from the director of training. The head coach and the director of training receive feedback from me. I mean, everybody receives feedback. I receive feedback from who? From the members. That's where I receive feedback from. Right? Everybody receives feedback. So you need to, my recommendation, if you want to grow, go and find an employer, go and find a box, go and find a gym where there's an environment of feedback. If you do that, then you'll grow way faster. You can do 15 hours a week or 20 hours a week in a gym where you receive no feedback. And you'll probably actually develop more bad habits than good if you receive no feedback. You will grow faster by teaching 5 hours in a gym where you get feedback once a week or twice a week. You'll grow faster, you'll become a better coach. So you're better off finding I said it in there, find a gym. They may even pay you less, you may earn less, but you're receiving feedback as a young coach. You're better off doing that than going into a gym that pays you more but doesn't give you any feedback. As you grow and you get better and you've been in it for 15, 20 years, go towards the money, right? But when you're starting out, the first 3-5 years of coaching, go to a place where they're going to invest in you, they're going to give you feedback, yeah.
How does good feedback look like for you?
You're going to get it. So you're informed that, hey man, it's like before you even join the company, how often are you going to do goal setting? How often will the head coach come and take your class or observe your class? When Daniel's coming into the gym and is going to do a member experience day and we'll take your class and you'll sit with Daniel and the head coach. Feedback's going to happen. Because the worst thing is, it's like giving a class and you don't even see it, and the guy goes, "Oh, by the way, that class that was shit house. That was really bad." It's like, what? But if you're giving feedback, you have an opportunity. Yeah, you may perform better then, you would normally if you didn't know that they were observing. But you become conscious that that's the level you should be performing at. So you're forewarned you're going to get feedback. And then the feedback should happen immediately. It shouldn't be, okay, he looked at my class on Monday, with Thursday he hasn't fucking said anything. Like, the feedback needs to happen pretty quickly. So if I'm teaching a 12:30 and a 1:30, and the guys watch my 12:30 class, when I come off my 1:30 class at 2:30, if things are done right, I should be getting feedback then. And the feedback can be informal, formal, it can be seated, standing, whatever it is. But it should be respectful. The person giving feedback should be looking for the positive. Focus on the positive, because the negative will just pop out at you. It's like when you walk in and your eyeballs are bleeding from all the stuff that you know. It's like, don't look for negative, otherwise you just be swamped in negativity. You should look for positive. Praise the positive. Give that praise. I'm not going to say give the shit sandwich. Praise, negative, then praise. But look for the praise. You can't just destroy someone in feedback and then just walk away and hope they'll get better. Look for the positive. And it's okay, now let's look at the 2 or 3 things that I really think that, if you work on, that class can go from good to great. It's like the setup. What was your system for seeing, and go in and ask questions and then explain to them why you think something is better. So it's not so 1 Minute Manager is a book I would recommend for anyone who wants to give feedback. Read the 1 Minute Manager by a guy called Kenneth Blanchard, or Ken Blanchard. Fundamental book on how to set goals and expectations, how to observe behavior, and how to give feedback, right? And then it should finish with the person receiving feedback understanding that they're important for the team, and that this feedback is the investment from the leader in them, and then the leader should follow up. It's kind of like giving feedback to an athlete in a class, right? Okay, that's better, but I'd really like that left knee out on the next rep, and then they walk away and they don't watch. It's like, no, you've given feedback, now watch to see if it's better. So feedback shouldn't happen once. There need to be multiple iterations. And it's like, hey, last time I saw you, we're talking about, the quality of your brief in front of the whiteboard, and how clear you. Today was way better. Why was it way? Right. So if you give feedback on, day 1 and you come back on day 5, see if what you gave feedback on day 1 has been applied and is better. Don't disassociate all the feedbacks. Otherwise, there's no line of progress. Right? That's some tips I'd give on feedback. I think.
Would you rather receive bad feedback or no feedback at all?
Or bad feedback? Bad feedback. Why? Because no feedback is like my leader doesn't care for me. Doesn't give a shit what I do. I'm not important. What I do isn't important to them. Bad feedback is he cares enough to give me feedback. I disagree with it. I don't see it. It's like, but then we have a discussion, right? But I'd rather someone give me feedback. At least they care enough to actually fucking talk to me and look at what I'm doing. I'd rather have bad feedback than no feedback. Yeah.
So when I receive feedback from you, is it okay if I give you feedback on how you give feedback?
Yeah, sure. It's fine. I may also disagree or whatever it is, right? But yeah, absolutely. The whole thing in developing people is relationship. The person will only listen to you. It's not about title. The person will listen to you if they'll listen to you pretty much if they like you already. Oh, Daniel's my head coach. Okay, great. That's just the title. But if I'm an idiot, if I'm an asshole, the title only lasts so long. Second level of leadership is about relationships. Daniel is my head coach, and he's actually a really nice guy. Okay, so I'll listen to him. Right? So that's the first one. And then the next level is, well, Daniel's my head coach. He's a nice guy, and man, he's like done a lot for this gym. He's really appreciated by the members. He's been coaching a long time. So what he's done for the business, right? So I listen to him. Right? Then it's Daniel's my head coach, good guy. I like him. What he's done for the business, and then what he's done for me. How has he helped me grow? So if you're layering your leadership like that, there's less and less inertia and resistance to feedback. The more you develop your leadership, the more your feedback is received and listened to and adhered to. Hope that helps.
Sure. Cool. It's a good book recommendation, 5 Levels of Leadership.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone should read it.
Well, 5 Levels of Leadership, and also I'd recommend Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell. Is a really fun. And then developing the leader within you and developing the leaders around you. That's the second one I'd recommend. Don't buy the workbook. If you buy just the workbook, you're missing the reading piece, right? So buy the book, the actual reading book. John Maxwell's got some really good stuff on leadership, without a doubt. Yeah, link that with the Ken Blanchard 1 Minute Manager stuff on how to give feedback. Work on your leadership, work on your influence, and then how to technically give a pretty powerful combination. Yeah.
I put it in the show notes so everyone who's listening can just click on the link, get to Amazon and buy the book.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, God, I should be working on commission, shouldn't I?
Maybe you should get an Amazon link and then you send it to me and then you probably get a cent or two.
I have no idea how to do that, dude.
Me too.
It's like I think my son does my Instagram for me. I have no...
It's okay. We're not here for the money, just for the fun. Yeah. It was a great time.
Thank you.
Really had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Listen, this gig's great. Thank you for the invitation on the podcast. I hope we get another opportunity. Sure. You know where to find me.
Sure. Hopefully I'll be in France next year. There's the Olympic Games.
Okay.
And one of our German weightlifters, Max Lang, he's hopefully qualifying for the Olympic Games.
Hope is for the church, man. Just make it happen.
I'm really believing in him. He's gonna qualify.
Max, if you're listening, good luck at the Olympics because you're qualifying. Go get it, man.
Yeah. So.
What about the semi-final? You're going to come to Lyon and for the CrossFit semi-final in May?
I haven't planned, but now I know you, and then I have a reason to go.
Come out.
There.
There'll be a lot of people you can podcast with, man. You'll have a year's worth of content. Come
That's great.
We'll set you up in a nice little booth,
Okay, let's talk about that.
I'll get you some coffee, that kind of stuff.
Get me coffee. That's cool.
I'll get you coffee.
Okay,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool for me.
It'd be my way of giving something back to you.
Oh wow, thank you. Appreciate it. Then thanks for your time. Have a great weekend, and talk to you soon.
Yeah, pleasure, man. Thank you very much, bud.
If you like this episode, please leave us a rating on Apple or Spotify. See you next time.